Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you a review of the new Colourpop Yes Please eyeshadow palette. So if you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts about this and also seeing swatches of all the eyeshadows, then just keep on watching. Alright, so this is the new Colourpop Yes Please eyeshadow palette. I was so excited when I saw this. I'll show you guys the inside. It is super warm toned and I love Colourpop shadows. I did a review of the shadows when they first came out. I'll link it up on me in case you guys are curious, but it's the exact same formula. I just really love this formula. The shadows are really affordable. This palette is $16 and you get 12 shades. You get 8 matte and 4 shimmer or metallic shades, so it's a really great value. The formula is just really amazing for Colourpop. It's really smooth, really pigmented, really blendable. All of them swatch pretty much the same. I don't see any of them being duds. I've used pretty much all of them on my eyes. I've swatched them all repeatedly. And this eye look that I'm wearing is just using this palette. I will link it. I will post it on Instagram and I'll link it down below once it's on Instagram. I also did another eye look with this palette. I was wearing it in my recent PR haul. It is up on Instagram right now, and I will link that in my description box too if you guys want to check it out, because you can get really like colorful looks with this palette without even trying too hard because they're very pigmented shades. So you do get a really good variety, and I know a lot of people are comparing this palette to the Natasha Denona. I always struggle saying that name, but they're always comparing it to that palette, the Sunset palette, I believe, which is $130. I just don't want to buy a palette that pricey. This is $16. This is the best palette I've ever bought in my life that's under $20. I'll let you guys know that hands down. I've bought so many drugstore shadows, just different affordable palettes, but for this price range, under $20, I've never found anything that is such a good quality. So this palette probably looks really small, and it was actually a lot smaller than I thought it would be. I actually thought it would be like a big full-size palette, but I wasn't disappointed because it was $16. And so each of these is 0.03 ounces. A full-size Colourpop eyeshadow is 0.05. So I'll show you guys a comparison of these full-size shadows. Let me see if I could pop one out real quick. So you can see the full size compared to the shadows in this palette. It's a little smaller, but it's definitely not tiny or anything. I mean, it's $16, so it's a really great travel palette, but it's still a really good size. It's still gonna take you a while to get through all of these shades. So it's definitely a good value. I have nothing bad to say about this palette. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch all the shades so you guys can actually see the pigmentation and the formula. And the first one is called Full Zip, and this is a matte warm ivory. It's just like a really neutral brow bone color or color for all over your lid. Next we have Big Cocktails, and this is a matte orange shade. It's like a really nice transition shade. It looks really pretty on like medium skin tones too because it's really bright and pigmented. This next color is Champs. It's a matte pale peach nude. So this is also a really good transition shade, especially if you're more fair, because it is a lighter orange shade. And I like to layer these two shades together. And then lastly, we have the color that's on my lid. I love this color. It's called Bling. It's so pigmented, so metallic, so smooth. And this is just a metallic rust color. It's so beautiful. I love cranberry tone. Next in the second row, we have the shade Louis. This is a metallic duochrome, and it's said to be red with a gold flip. I just swatched that really bad. I always do. But this is a really pretty color as well. It's more peachy and it has a little bit of that gold shimmer in it. And then the next shade is actually the worst shade to me in the palette. This is called Buttercake, and it's a metallic pale yellow gold. And so this is a color you would normally put all over the lid. A lot of people would probably feel more comfortable wearing this shade all over the lid than like one of the reddish tones. But you guys can see it basically like fades out into nothing. It's still okay, but it definitely does not have the pigmentation of the other metallic shades. It's like that formula where you pack it onto your lid and it'll start to crumble off. And the other metallic shades, like you put it on your lid and it stays there and it stays in place. Next we have the shade Spoiled, and this is a matte brick red color. And this is red, but it does have more of an orangey hue to it too. I just like swatched that one weird as well, but it is a pretty nice red color. And then next to it, we have one of my favorite shades, probably my favorite transition shade. This is called GNO, which is a matte burnt orange Whenever I hear that, I just think of that Hannah Montana song, GNO. And I just love this color. It reminds me of Peanut Butter from Too Faced. It's a little bit more orangey, but it's just like a really beautiful transition shade. In the third row, we have Mischief, and this is a matte warm yellow. I love this shade. It's so cool. It's just a matte yellow. It's very bright, and it's not green, which I like. I like having like a true yellow color and not like a greenish yellow color. And then next we have Note to Self. It's a matte warm caramel color, and this is just like a really staple brown transition shade. It's a little bit more warm, but it's definitely not as warm as, say, like this orangey matte shade or any of the other matte shades. This is the most neutral out of probably all the shades in the palette. Next, this shade is called Chauffeur, and it has a long description. It says metallic duochrome, bright orange with a yellow flip. That's a lot of words. To me, it's basically shimmery Cheeto dust. That's what I thought of when I first swatched this shade, but like in the best way possible. Like, no offense to this eyeshadow, but that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like a shimmery Cheeto dust. And then lastly, we have the shade called French Kiss, matte deep brown red brown. So it's like a reddish brown that is darker. This is a really nice color for like an outer V. It's actually what's in my outer V today, and I'm actually surprised that they didn't say or describe it as having purple in it, because it does have a little bit of a plum finish to it. So these are all the shades in the palette. I really love all the colors. Even Buttercake, the one that swatched the worst, is still not awful. The rest of them are basically perfect. So it's definitely a different standard with this one shade, but the rest of them have it together really nicely. So I definitely love this palette. It's very colorful, like it's very orange and red. So if you don't like those colors, you probably aren't gonna like this palette, but in terms of the formula, the pigmentation, how easy it is to blend out, how long they wear, this palette is amazing. I love Colourpop shadows. If you're just on the hunt for affordable shadows that work really nice, then definitely check out Colourpop, because I feel like their shadows, I know a lot of people say they like them, but they still go kind of underrated to me. They're just a really great formula for the price, and just a really great formula in general. And you guys can see, compared to the actual pan, they all swatch really nicely. They do swatch true to pan, and by that I mean you're seeing the colors in here and they look pretty much identical on my arm or swatch. They're not like a watered down version of what you see in the pan. So I really like all the shades. It's definitely super warm. Basically all of them are warm tones. They're oranges and reds, so it just is up to you whether or not you like these colors. I feel like if there was maybe one more or two more neutral shades, like one more neutral brown tone and maybe one more, instead of this yellow Buttercake color, if they had more of like a champagne just neutral tone, it might be a little bit more wearable, because I feel like you're definitely committing to putting some color on your lid when you wear this palette, or at least like a really maybe bolder look with this palette, because you do get a lot of oranges. If you want something that's more subtle, basically you'd wear this all over, use this or this as a transition, and just maybe a little bit of Buttercake. But other than that, I feel like pretty much all the looks you're going to get from this are going to be more colorful, really bold or warm. It's not going to be like an everyday like natural makeup palette for sure. So if you guys like really warm tone and orangey eyeshadow shades, definitely check out the Yes Please palette. It is currently out of stock. It will be restocked really soon. They just pushed back the restock date on the Colourpop site, so I'm not certain about when it's going to be restocked yet, but I just know that it's going to be very soon, and it is limited edition. So if you don't get it at the next restock, I don't know if it's going to be available again. I just want to let you guys know that if you are interested in it, definitely pick it up, because it is $16 and you're getting a really great value and really great formula. I really like all the looks that I've made with this palette. It's a lot more bold. I feel like I'll get a lot of use out of this palette in the fall for sure, because it's definitely more of those like fall tone, like cranberry shades and just like oranges and really warm colors. So if you guys are into all of those shades, you will definitely like this palette. The formula is definitely amazing. So that is everything for today's video. Please let me know if you plan on picking up this Colourpop palette when it gets restocked, or if you purchased it already, or just let me know what your favorite affordable shadows are in the comments down below. And if you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you guys soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Bye!